I'm cautiously optimistic on the mass deportation front. First, I think people need to kind of get their expectations set. So if you're thinking, Trump's going to follow through and actually deport 12 to 20 million people, that's not going to happen. The operational capacity just simply isn't there.
Welcome to the Debriefs, where we talk to Washington Examiner's top editors about the stories leading the week and where they're going. We're here with commentary editor Conn Carroll. Conn, thank you so much for joining us. Before we get started with Conn, please hit the like button down below and subscribe so you can get more original Washington Examiner content. Now, Conn, one of the day ones for President Donald Trump-elect is mass deportations, something that he really ran on not only this election, but also is believed to have won him in 2016. What are some of the steps he's already taking?
Sure. So I think I'm cautiously optimistic on the mass deportation front. First, I think people need to kind of get their expectations set. So if you're thinking, Trump's going to follow through and actually deport 12 to 20 million people, that's not going to happen. The operational capacity just simply isn't there. And when you listen to his border czar, Tom Homan, that's not what he's talking about. He's laid out three principles which I think are very reasonable, both practically wise, but also politically. So he said, number one, we're going to shut down the border. So we shut down Biden's programs. We stop catch and release. We stop digging. That's step one. Then step two is we go after criminal aliens. So, just this week you had Laken Riley, her killer was convicted on 10 counts, including kidnapping, 4 counts of murder, etc. So Laken Riley was caught by Border Patrol, but according to Biden policy, then paroled into the country to go wherever he wants. Then after that, he was then arrested in New York City for driving without a license and endangering a minor. Okay, so under New York's sanctuary policies, ICE was never told of those arrests. But that was another opportunity for ICE to come in and say, this is a criminal alien, we're going to deport him. It was Biden administration not to arrest criminal aliens and detain them. And it was New York City's sanctuary policy not to do that. So Trump's going to change all that. He is going to say, no, we're going to go after these criminals, illegal aliens, and those are the ones that are going to be deport first. And then third of all, there are unaccompanied minors that have been flooding into the United States under the Biden regime. There are 300,000 of them that the Department of Health and Human Services, they're the one actually keeping track of them. They just say we don't know where these kids are. And so Trump's going to find those kids and reunite them with their families. So those are the 3 steps, and I think those are all doable.
Right. Yeah, I think that just not knowing where people are is a huge part of also not being able to deport them. I mean, when we went to the border, it was people didn't have court dates for sometimes 10, 12 years. So who knows where they're going to be in 12 years.
Yeah, I think when you go and you actually talk to a lot of normies, a lot of normal voters, and it kind of dawns on them when you describe the system that the federal government really has no idea where these illegal immigrants are, and that a lot of them, like Jose Ibarra, are getting arrested for DUI, shoplifting, even theft, and are not being turned to the federal government. They're like, how is this possible? And it is kind of mind-boggling. It's like that moment for the trans surgeries, where the woman from the New York Times was like, "Oh, that's ridiculous. There's no way that's true." It's like, no, actually, that is the Biden policy. So just coming in and setting some common sense limits on these policies, I think, would go a long way to Trump's deportation efforts.
And speaking of his pick already for cabinet, already making moves, how likely is he to be pushed through? He's not nearly as controversial as some of his other picks that we talked about before, but he seems to be well liked by the Republican Party. Like, this is what
Sure.
Americans overwhelmingly voted for.
He has only one person so far, well, 2. One person so far has been named specifically on the deportation front, and that's Tom Homan. The thing is, though, he's been named as border czar, which is kind of a fake position, meaning he doesn't need cabinet approval, because Homan doesn't want to go through that. Now, he has named someone who technically is in charge of that. He's nominated Kristi Noem to be head of the Department of Homeland Security. But with Homan in charge of specifically the border czar, it's very unclear how much she will actually be involved in those immigration enforcement efforts.
And how much he actually needs to be approved to take on and lead this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But he's already been in border patrol. He's very experienced, and there's going to be people in there that he's been able to hit the ground running day one and tell them what to do.
All right. Well, we'll have to just see where this all leads and how many people actually get prevented from coming into the country or kicked out altogether. Well, Conn Carroll, commentary editor here at Washington Examiner. I'm Amy DeLaura, and for more straight news, exclusive interviews, and conservative views, head to WashingtonExaminer.com.